Howard here at Kiteboarding.com, and we've been getting some emails and some situations that are happening, and I came up with another really good video that I wanted to give you some instructions and some ideas on. Now, bar systems and safety systems. There's more than a few out there in the system. They are out there in the business, and they all work pretty close to the same. A little bit of differences here and there, but their common general thing is they depower all the kites on the front line. Now, one thing I want to tell you that is a big thing to me. Everybody will say maybe their bar is safer or the other one is better or release is better. The system that you know is the safest system out there. If you don't know how the chicken loop releases or how the line resets or how the line is fed through the system, then that is a bad thing. You need to familiarize yourself with any bar setup that you have. Now, if you've been flying on some of the older rigs, let me tell you, inspect those. Small screws, small things inside of them are very, very important to check. If it's older, get something new. Having a good, safe system and a new one is the most reliable, so keep up with that. If it's getting old, be aware that that is not a good thing. Check it, go through the system. Now, what I want to describe is there are different ways. We've had some issues of people calling us and how do I do this and that, and what is happening is all the release system is on the front lines. So when you're flying and you're looping your kite, you'll get multiple loops in those lines. Now what they have is many of these systems out there, which you'll see, here's a Slingshot, here's the Nash, and they're all copying. Now I have to say, I don't know who was the first to come up with it, but the first one I remember seeing is a Centerline safety system from Slingshot. It has these very large, oversized swivels that are up above, and they split the two front lines. Now, the reason that they're split is that it's supposedly, if you're hooked into the chicken loop, that these will swivel when your lines get a twist. Let me tell you, there is not one of them out there that doesn't cause a twist. Sometimes they'll pull out, sometimes they won't. But let me tell you, it's very, very important to keep an eye on those twists at that swivel. Get them out of there. If there's more than one or two in there, pay attention to it and get those twists out of that line. So if you're doing a lot of tricks one way or another, it's very gusty, you're in iffy conditions, keep an eye on that because it will hang up. I have seen it. I have done it personally myself. Keeping those twists out of the line. Now the other problem is these swivels are so far up above to flip them with your finger usually only takes a flip. This one here is a little bit stiff for sure. Here's a Slingshot, and you can see I could flip this with my finger, and if I start it, that twist will usually come out of the system. So remember, if you have a swivel up here and you see multiple twists, don't just keep riding and thinking it's okay. It's designed, it'll slide through. It has a possibility that it can hang up, so pay attention to that. So little twist, get them out of there. It is a good, reliable system, and it does work. I have used it, more than a few, but if you get repeated twists in these two front lines and they don't slide up on each other, or they get jammed up right in here with a multiple twist, you can see if this was twisted up and it got jammed in here. So pay attention, keep those twists out of those things. Now, the other thing that I like, when the swivel is up here, there's some of these systems. Now, this is very rarely this would happen, but you can imagine, here's your chicken loop, and this isn't the only one, so I'm not just targeting one brand by any means. When this chicken loop's pulled, if you have the bar all the way down against you, now this is kind of an odd situation, because if you're hooked into this, if you're hooked in and you're holding the bar down, you cannot release. There is no release on the chicken loop. Now, that's not very, very common. In most cases, you will actually push away this bar, let go of it, and this will push out. But it's just a situation that you should think about. It's just you hanging on to it, or if anything jams up. If this is up against the bar, it won't release. But they're not the only one. There are multiples here. Here's a Cabrina one. If this is up against the bar, the intention, you're pulling down for whatever reason, you cannot release this. Now, that's not the most common thing. It's not that it's unsafe of any kind. Here's a Nash one. It's the same way. When it goes up against here, you can't push away this release. But you could unhook, or you could push away this bar, obviously, which is in most cases where you would be, and you can easily push away all these releases. So, here's another one. The next one is a chicken loop. There's 3 models here that also have a spinning chicken loop. so they don't have a swivel above. You can untwist your lines right here at your chicken loop. You're not reaching up above trying to flip the swivel. You're untwisting your lines right here at the chicken loop. Here's an air rush. Ozone's got it. This Crazy Fly one has it. A very, very useful way that's actually used in releasing. So pay attention to that. Again, you want to understand your system and how it works, and make sure to keep it clean. That's so important. I'll see some of these systems and I'll grab these and they do not even twist at all. There's either sand stuck inside of here. These are manufactured and designed to keep all that out of there and not rust, stainless steel or ceramic. But it's very important, make sure they twist, make sure they're clean, and make sure they work really well. Here's one on the liquid force side. Everybody kind of has their ups and downs of different things that we have seen in here, and we put full test tube. We love to test all these rigs so we can give you the 100%. This is a plastic, what I call a plastic jam-up chicken loop. What they plan here is that this is holding plastic pieces in here at a pretty good tight tolerance so nothing will release. Once you push away, then this will release. What I have seen with some of these is if you don't get these clean, these get sand jammed up inside of them. This little plastic piece, if you're out there, it's got sand and you jam this back on and lock it, it roll locks. You can get a pretty good grain of sand up inside of there, a rock or a pebble, and it's really hard to get unjammed. So before you head out with this, I recommend just make sure you clean these. It's not hard. Very simple, just unclipping some of this stuff. Stick it in the water, wash it out, clip it back together. It's just maintaining your gear is going to add you another safety line to all of your system. So that's Jeff Howard here at Kiteboarding.com. I want to educate you a little further so you understand, so no one gets hurt and everybody has a great time. If you ever have any questions, please email them to us at info@Kiteboarding.com. I'll do a video on it. I'll do some explanation. Stay safe. Ride hard.